I think you're right. I mean, and you get into a ceremony, and depending on what's coming out of everybody, it can get really intense. And so the first thing is that we always understand that that's normal for us,
Hmm.
right? Like think about like rush hour traffic and like being on an 8-lane super freeway or something like that. And
Yeah.
for like if you just like got dropped there and you didn't even know how to drive, it would be psycho chaos. You wouldn't even know what was going
Yeah.
on. Every little sound would freak you out. You'd be scared. That those are very early on experiences. We understand that, okay, that's not normal for us. Like the guys I used to train with, and we would laugh that in the first 15 to 20 minutes of the ceremony, we called that commuting. That
Oh,
was us
yeah.
commuting to work. We're like, okay, we're in the commute phase of this. Like we're driving, we're like in the spaceship. We're going to work, right? And then we would open up into full vision, and then that's when we would
Mm.
be in the space, right? So first is like, okay, I'm not going to react to what's going on in the room. Like you never
Yeah.
react.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Yeah.
to react to. That's the process of what's going on. I want to be understanding what's going on in the room, and then I always want to be understanding what we need next,
Yeah. Yeah.
not reacting to what just happened. Like what's happening right now is, okay, someone could be screaming, someone can be throwing up, someone can be writhing, someone could be going through their traumas and releasing and crying and having really intense emotions. All that can be going on at the same time. And it's like, okay, that's just the flow of the medicine, that's the flow of the process. So what does everyone need? And the way we manage the room is through the Icaros and the different
Yeah.
rhythms and the different breath work, by
Hmm.
bringing in different energetic states. And the energies are both in the sounds of the Icaros and the rhythms, and it's also in the kinds of spirits that we're calling, that
Yeah.
we weave through that. So if you get into an ayahuasca ceremony, you're going to see like this really incredible geometry. It's
Yeah.
like the air takes on shape and form. Like you
Yeah.
start to
Yeah.
see the air, and the air starts dancing and moving, and then within that you can get into like kaleidoscopic sacred geometry and like really intricate patterns and fractals and like all this like unbelievably beautiful stuff. And so it's like we learn how to read all of that, so
Yeah.
that then
Mm.
we can scan the room and see what's going on, and it's in that is all the information and the patterns of what everyone's going through,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so into that we interject through the Icaros different kinds of energies. Like we study the trees, the medicinal trees of the forest. Will bring the trees in. They're very grounding.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
very
Hmm.
cleansing. um if things need to be opened up more, and it's like there's dark energy, we call for different ways for the dark energy to be released. If
Hmm.
light needs to be brought in, we call all different ways to be able to bring light in.
Yeah.
If people have purged negative energies or entities into the space, we use different kinds of beings to be able to remove them. Like you can call
Yeah.
a mother eagle, or you could call an angel or something like that to be able to come in and actually remove those energies. And you actually will experience in the ceremony, like the room's starting to get darker, and then all of a sudden it feels like it gets cleared out. We'll bring
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
wind to clear out the room, and like physical wind will actually blow through the space. I mean, it can be
Yeah.
wild,
Yeah.
right? And
Totally.
so we're kind of in this constant communication with everybody. We connect to the collective of the ceremony. We connect to each person's energy and spirit, because you always want to know if they're in a state where they need intervention. Like, do they need
Hmm.
help in that moment?
Yeah.
Like physical help, or just like mental,
Yeah. Yeah.
energetic
Totally.
help. And then or is that just their natural process they're in? So like, are they
Hmm.
actually okay? And from the outside you might think like, no, they're not okay. But if you actually like could stop their experience and say, hey, what's going on, they'll be like, oh, I'm releasing this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like, hey, I'm totally cool. They won't even realize that from the outside it might not look
Right.
that they're in such an okay place, right, on the inside
Totally.
of their experience. And so um so we just like watch for those things. You'll also watch people get into like looping patterns.
Yeah. Sure.
And so
Hmm.
if they get into a looping pattern, you help them disrupt that pattern.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
they need is to interject something, because their mind's kind of like caught into a loop now. And so
Hmm.
you can interject to help break that looping pattern for them. And then, you kind of continue to go with the ceremony, and then you open the ceremony up more, and then you kind of calm it down, you open it up more, you calm it down. There are these natural waves to the intensity of the experience. Like it'll
Wow.
get way more intense, and then it'll kind of calm down some. And then
Wow.
during that time, I guide everybody to like ground from that previous experience. It's like, okay, we've opened up
Hmm.
more,
Yeah.
we've released. Now let's all come back together. Like, okay, we're all here, we're good. And I'm a little different than a lot of traditional practitioners that won't use any kind of verbal cues. They just, will do Icaros, but
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
actually I'll actually talk. So I'll say
I
to people
love
like, hey,
that.
we're okay.
Yeah,
Like just
yeah.
checking in. You guys are doing great. Like this is okay.
Yeah.
Hey, over there, that was just purging. Like if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
heard
yeah,
loud
yeah.
noises, that was
Yeah.
purging. And then I also always invite everybody, if they need to come up and sit right in front of me,
Oh, that's
because
so
then
nice.
they can hear my sound and not be
Mm-hmm.
so like
Yeah.
sucked into someone else's sound,
Yeah.
especially if it's like right
Totally.
next to them or
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit away. So I'm just like, hey, if anyone around you is distracting, just come up and sit up in front of me until that person calms down.
Yeah.
And if they sit in our field up in front, like the sound of the shakapa, the sound of the drum will just take over like what they're hearing and paying attention to, and all
Yeah.
the other sounds will be drowned out, and the
Wow.
ceremony just kind of continues and moves on.
Wow. Yeah. I love that.